What does CART look like without Roger Penske? It's a question that's never had to be asked before, and one that people likely thought would never need to be asked, at least not for a long time. But nobody thought that it would ever look like this. Not only is Team Penske absent from CART in 2002, but it's present in the Indy Racing League, the rival series founded by President and CEO of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The IRL has been growing ever since its inaugural season in 1996, and as long as the George family felt that it was worth it, it would survive. But with Roger Penske on its side, the IRL can now truly thrive. Its first season was just 3 races long, but by its 7th season, the IRL schedule has grown to 15 races, enough to compete with CART's 20. But is there room for 45 American open-wheel races in a single year, especially as NASCAR rockets to new heights? In late April, Sports Business Journal suggests that the answer is no. CART's season opener in Monterrey, Mexico earns a 0.5 TV rating, about half of what it got last year. Such a drastic drop-off can't have been solely the fault of the IRL, and it wasn't. In 2001, every CART race was broadcast on either ESPN or ABC. In 2002, their TV deal has expired, and CART is moving to the Speed Channel for the majority of their races. They're leaving the network that's been intertwined with IndyCar racing since 1965, as ABC goes all in on the IRL, and they're trapped on a racing-themed cable channel that reaches half as many households as ESPN2. But CART isn't off network television completely. They're paying CBS $6.5 million to broadcast 7 races. Did that sound like a normal TV deal to you? Let's compare that with other series TV deals at the time. NASCAR is getting paid $400 million a year by Fox, NBC, and Turner for the rights to broadcast their races. The IRL is getting paid by ABC. CART, on the other hand, is paying CBS to air their races. A fan on trackforum.org in 2002 put this better than I ever could, referring to these CBS broadcasts as time-buy infomercial races. Predictably, CART's public stock price doesn't react well to this. It falls from just over $16 in January to just under $14 by April. At the end of the month, the 2002 CART season is 3 races old, and the points leader is Dario Franchitti driving for Team Green. Dario, along with a handful of CART's best, will be focused on matters outside the series for the month of May. By 2002, the boycott of the Indy 500 is over. The 25-8 rule, which instigated the boycott by locking in the 25 highest drivers in IRL points, leaving room for just 8 CART teams, has been gone since 1997, when 35 drivers were allowed to start the 500 in an effort to fulfill the rule, while also preserving Indy's tradition by allowing the fastest 33 drivers to start. Ganassi and Penske ran the 500 in 2000 and 2001, and Penske, of course, left CART entirely this year. Ganassi is also running a full-time IRL entry while still running CART. Team Green and Team Rahal joined them at Indy for 02, and the line separating CART teams and IRL teams has been effectively erased. The 2002 Indianapolis 500's influence on the future of the sport wasn't limited to off-track happenings like entry lists and TV deals. On track, the finish of the race served as an allegory as to which league was on the way up and which was on its way out. There's 3 laps left to run in the 500, and the top 2 are Team Penske's Helio Castroneves and Team Green's Paul Tracy. This is Helio's and Penske's first full-time year in the IRL. For Team Green and Tracy, this is their first 500 since before the split. Team Green isn't far off from joining the IRL, but Tracy never will. He'll leave for Forsyth Racing next season, who won't ever enter the Indy 500 again. Tracy won't return to Indy until 2009. These 2 drivers won't share a racetrack again until 2007, at the 24 Hours of Daytona. After today, Helio will win 3 more Indy 500s and amass 31 race wins in a career that continues to this day, even at age 50. Tracy, on the other hand, will only run 5 more full-time seasons before stepping back to a part-time schedule. His Indy return at 09 will net him a 9th place, the highest he'll finish at the Speedway post-2002. Paul Tracy's only chance to win the Indianapolis 500 is right now. Heading into turn 3 with 3 laps left, he moves to the outside, but he's too far back to make the pass. It takes him a full lap to gather enough momentum to try again, and with no time to spare, he jumps to the outside once again.
Tracy looks to the outside. Whoa, and the car in trouble right down against the wall. White flag, yellow flag are going to come out.
Hold on. Paul Page is wrong here. The finishing order doesn't revert to the previous lap. The leader is determined by whoever was out front at the moment of caution. So who the hell was in front? And maybe more importantly, when was the moment of caution? Is it the moment the lights come on around the track? When the lights come on in the cars? When the flag is waved? When the drivers hear,
Yellow, 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 turn 2,
from race control? Or is it moments before any of these, when race control begins the caution procedure? This might not be a long time in the grand scheme of things, not even more than a second, but with margins this close, the answer will most likely decide who won the Indy 500. In order to make sense of this, let's look at the finish from both drivers' perspectives. From Helio Castroneves' point of view, he was in the lead heading into turn 3 when the caution lights came on his steering wheel, and he's told of the yellow over the radio. Instinctively, he backs off the throttle, only for Paul Tracy to subsequently fly past him on the outside. His team tells him to just make it to the checkered flag and he'll be the winner. He does so. Paul Tracy's perspective differs slightly from Helio's. According to him, the caution didn't come out until he was at least half a car length ahead. These two versions of events are incompatible with each other. If the caution is what caused Helio to back off, allowing Tracy to pass, then Tracy could not have been ahead when it came out. It doesn't take long for the IRL to make its initial declaration. Helio Castroneves has won. He was ahead when the caution came out, and that's that. Around the same time, Paul Tracy says the following over the radio.
I know they're not going to do anything about it. I know that they don't want one of us to win.
Is Paul right here? Will Helio's win be upheld because, as he implicitly says, they don't want a kart team winning the 500 again? We'll probably never know if that's the reason, but a few hours later, the Indy Racing League confirms that Helio Castroneves has won the 2002 Indianapolis 500. It doesn't take long for Paul Tracy and Team Green to appeal the decision. A month comes and goes, and Tony George holds a press conference to announce the verdict. Not only is the appeal denied, but the decision was never appealable in the first place. This is like waiting 15 minutes for an NFL replay crew to decide whether the call on the field stands, only for them to come out and say it was unreviewable. The race was on May 26th. This press conference is in July, a full month to determine that it was unappealable. My goodness. 4 kart races have been run in the span between the 500 and the press conference. In this time, Cristiano D'Amata has pulled out a 25-point lead over Bruno Junqueira. By the end of the summer, this lead is more than doubled. So far after the 500, kart has stayed trouble-free, though with fewer eyes on their races than in years past. Their falling stock price reflects this lack of attention, or to the more conspiratorially inclined, the IRL screwing their team out of an Indianapolis win. Their one-race trip to Europe comes and goes, and after a stop in Miami, kart heads down under. Unlike Germany or England, Australia has been a staple on the kart schedule since 1991. The race at the Surfers Paradise Street Circuit on the Gold Coast was met with some resistance from the local city council and concerns about competing with Formula One's Australian Grand Prix. Despite these hiccups, it ran smoothly for over a decade, with no major troubles to derail what locals described as a huge party. 2002 felt like it would be no exception to the race's party atmosphere. Practice and qualifying were run under sunny skies, with temperatures reaching 86 degrees Fahrenheit. The pole was won by, no surprises here, Cristiano D'Amata. With 3 races remaining, D'Amata has locked up the series championship, and starting at Surfers Paradise, he's traded in his number 6 for the number 1. As the kart field gets set to race on Sunday, it is pouring. The field has only run for a short time at full speed in these conditions, and drivers were already slipping and sliding their way around the course. And in a full field of cars on lap 1, there's no telling how bad the spray might be. Of course, you can't just move the race to the next day. Not only is this a street race, which means the track needs to be converted back into public roads as soon as possible, we're in Australia, and these guys, along with all the cars and equipment, have to be back across the Pacific in 5 days for the next race weekend in California. No matter the weather, the race must go on as scheduled. At the very least, it's decided that the start of the race will be single file rather than double file. The field completes the pace laps, and the green flag flies on a drenched Surfers Paradise street circuit. Ah well, what's the worst that could happen?
Flag 3.
Bruno
Junqueira seems to think it's a 2x2 start.
Making a big move up the inside. Looks like he's by Cristiano going down into one.
What a move by Bruno Junqueira, and we have a huge accident on the front straightaway. Several cars have come together, and the track is blocked.
Oh dear. Nobody could see a thing amidst the spray, resulting in one of the biggest wrecks in kart history. Since the race had barely started, the series allowed teams to repair or replace all the badly damaged cars, allowing everybody to continue on, save for Adrian Fernandez and Toru Takagi, two badly damaged drivers. Fernandez suffered a fractured chest, and Takagi suffered a fractured pelvis. As the Speed Channel reassures viewers that Fernandez and Takagi's injuries are non-life-threatening, the track is repaired, and the race is getting ready to resume after an hour and a half, albeit with a truncated length of just 50 laps, rather than the original 70. When they restarted, the rain had subsided for the moment, and the race became your typical kart affair for about 7 laps before the rain returned, harder than ever. Kart threw the yellow flag out of an abundance of caution, and the leaders took advantage of this by diving onto pit road. This left Bruno Junqueira in first place and, hold on, wait a minute.
Big fire going on with Oriol Servia's car.
Oriol Servia's car.
Big fire.
Fire.
Entire back of the car is consumed.
Pull into a place.
Jim McGee telling him to try and find a...
Don't even wait for a place. Get out.
Oriol Servia's car goes up in flames for no clear reason. Anyways, the remaining cars are not permitted by kart to run more than 20 laps without making a pit stop. The rationale behind this decision, made after the race length was shortened under the assumption that it would be run under green, is to ensure everyone makes at least 2 pit stops. But the teams are trying to exploit this. Michael Andretti and Christian Fittipaldi both pitted on lap 16 because, they reason, the race will surely be called once it reaches the original halfway point of lap 35. Everyone in front of them will have had to pit again, and they'll be up front when the red and checkered flags fly. Jimmy Vasser, Michel Jourdain Jr., and Shinji Nakano all pitted a lap later, perhaps hedging their bets on one additional lap being run. Bruno Junqueira and Patrick Carpentier weren't far behind, as well as Mario Dominguez and the Erdes competition team, who would take victory if the race happened to be called after 40 or 41 laps.
Well, this is one of those track position things. If it goes to 36, and they call the race then, and he'll put him in front of Yamada, Kanan, and Franchitti.
But behind Tracy. So I like this because if we can make it so a different guy wins, if it's stopped on different laps, then it's just like a motto. We can just all sit tight and Chris Neifel can play God and decide to just stop the race on whatever lap gives the win to whoever his favorite guy is.
No. Ouch.
At this stage, the race being called is all just speculation from the teams, and as the leaders pit on lap 31, they're still racing for position off pit road.
As is Dario Franchitti. Now the key issue, I think, in what... Oh, right there alongside...
But everyone watching, including the announcers, know that this race is going to come down to who is allowed to be in front whenever it's called.
All right. This is...
Anybody bring any headache
This is
pills?
going to be interesting how it finishes up because it's so confusing at this point. I know everybody watching this race is probably more confused than we are. And
Confusing might be an understatement.
Well, we're here with Craig Hampson as Fittipaldi's engineer. There's been a lot of questions. We're trying to get a straight answer on this. With the way the pit windows work, if CART says this race is over at lap 36, so it's official, that would then be the final lap that you could keep Christian out there. Can he stay on the racetrack? We just spoke to Chris Neifel. He said Michael would have to stop because his pit stall is before start-finish line. That seems a little unfair just in terms of where you pitted today. Is it your understanding it's like typically the end of a race, you just go out and complete that distance?
Well, to be very honest, CART typically credits a lap when a car goes into the pits. So if Michael made it in that pit, CART should credit that lap. So I find it tough to believe they wouldn't just let him go past there. I mean, that seems wrong. I would hate to think we would get handed the race because Michael's got that pit stall and we've got this one. You know, I mean, this is just a matter of luck. It's a matter of when CART decides, you know, to pull the plug on this thing. Obviously, if they pull it at 36, we clued into it a little quicker than some of the others did, and that happened because of our problems at the beginning of the race. But you know, we're just hanging on, and we'll see what CART does. Unfortunately, the whole thing's just been an artistic disaster because of the weather conditions.
If the race stops for safety reasons on lap 36, he believes you will have to stop in your pit, and I don't think you believe that.
No, it's no different than if we went all the way to lap 70, which would be the completion of the race, and we had stopped 20 laps prior to that when the window opens. If the race is going to be completed on the completion of lap 36, we have fulfilled our obligation of running no more than 20 laps on the racetrack.
Okay. Thank you.
On the 34th lap, series champion Cristiano D'Amata proves that it's still extremely difficult to tiptoe around the wet track behind the pace car as he spins from 11th place. If the race had ended up running to completion, he would have won without that spin. To finish first, even at 40 miles an hour, first you must finish. As lap 35 is reached with the race cars going about the same speed as the adjacent street cars, the yellow remains out.
So what should I do? Stay out?
Oh,
What should you do?
So definitely not fit this lap, right?
oh, cruelest of ironies.
Come on, ask him one more time.
Come on.
One more time.
The question is, when they said do not pit, did it go pit?
I was about to say he has no choice. Actually, he does have a choice.
Conditions permitting.
So Michael will have to pit.
Absolute a car. That is a fabricated.
41 laps.
41 laps, and what that means is it'll go to the guys that were in sequence, which until D'Amata spun was D'Amata. Now that means that Tony Kanaan will win.
That's not right. Remember, Mario Dominguez pitted on lap 22. He'll still have one lap left in his stint when the race ends. Mario Dominguez is going to win. Surely not, though. Surely CART will come up with some rule to hand the victory to the driver who is actually in the front.
Kim, I know we heard that comment about a fabricated finish. I know you're livid here. Instead of getting ready to win the race, you're getting ready for a pit stop.
I think we've basically been screwed by CART. The half distance they told us was 36 laps. There's no way you're ever going to restart this race. And our tactics worked. We won the race based on a 36 lap race. And CART's decided to change the race distance. Not very nice, in my opinion, whether they've done that.
Kim, I understand your plight, but I think every driver in the field has a claim to being screwed by CART today, except Dominguez. Sure, your guess that the race would end at halfway was an educated one, but it was still a guess. CART never said that ending at halfway was the plan. You gambled, and you lost. Of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that having to pit every 20 laps was complete nonsense anyway. After the leaders are forced to pit, Calvin Fish realizes who's about to win.
Well, I think if you look at the timing screen, Tommy, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's going to be Dominguez. If they stop at lap 41,
You're right.
didn't he stop at lap 22, and he fits in that window? Is that right?
I think you're right.
Can this be happening?
Who do you want to win? Stop it on that lap.
There will be no sudden rule changes. The winner of the race is now set in stone. Mario Dominguez has earned his first CART win, well, maybe not earned, and Erdez Competition gets the first win in the history of their team, even including their time as Bettenhausen Motorsports. Just to fuck with everyone a little bit more, the race is abruptly cut short by a lap, and the checkered flag is shown at the end of lap 40. On a dreary day in a setting that couldn't be less appropriate for the name Surfer's Paradise, CART has run its most controversial race. At least, of the races that actually took the green flag. The series heads back stateside for a race that would have been called the Marlboro 500, but Marlboro has moved with Penske to the IRL, and remember, they can only advertise in one series, so the race is billed as the 500. Fontana and Mexico City come and go, and the 2002 CART season comes to a close. When the series returns in February, it will be nearly unrecognizable. Both Honda and Toyota had already announced their intentions to leave the series for the IRL ahead of the 2002 season, and for 03, they're off to Indy. The lone remaining engine supplier, Cosworth, will run naturally aspirated engines, as turbochargers are left in the past. This move, and the uncertainty surrounding it, partially influenced Honda and Toyota's decision to leave. Series champion Cristiano D'Amata would still drive a Toyota in 2003, just not in CART. D'Amata left for Formula One, joining Olivier Panis at Panasonic Toyota Racing, where in 2 seasons he never placed higher than 6th. His replacement at Newman Haas Racing is Bruno Junqueira, whose old team, Chip Ganassi Racing, has left to run full-time in the IRL. Team Green is also gone, and this leads us to a troubling statistic. 69 of the 131 kart races run between 1996 and 2002 were won by teams that now race in the IRL. Just 52 were won by teams that are still here. The final big change is to the name of the series. You see, kart was the name of the sanctioning body, but the sport is known as IndyCar. Through the mid-90s, it was known as the IndyCar World Series until the IRL came along and disputed the rights to the term. After all, the IRL actually races at Indy, unlike kart. The two sides reached a settlement in late 1996 that barred kart from using the name IndyCar, but the IRL wasn't allowed to use it until 2003, which, as you can see on our timeline, it now is. The IRL rebrands as the IndyCar Series, and kart, I believe, gives up. Kart is no longer the IndyCar Series. It was a slow transition over a 7-year period, and it's hard to pinpoint when the final tipping point was. Perhaps it was immediate, and they lost their claim to it as soon as they lost the Indy 500. Maybe it was just now, when the IndyCar name was officially taken away. I like to believe that it happened after 2001, when Team Penske switched sides. It doesn't matter when exactly it happened. The IRL is now, without a shadow of a doubt, the premier American open-wheel racing series. But kart's still here. They have to call themselves something. Calling the series itself kart was a placeholder after the name IndyCar was taken away from them, and now it's guaranteed they'll never get it back. What do they call themselves now? Well, let's see here. IndyCars are also sometimes known as championship cars, and they've been technically calling these cars championship cars since 1998, and they were called the IndyCar World Series before the split, so... Champ Car World Series. They're the Champ Car World Series now. Though they are hemorrhaging money, look at that stock price, so we'd better get some sponsors in here. Bridgestone presents the Champ Car World Series, powered by Ford. Perfect. The series marches on, opening the 2003 season with a brand new race on the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida, won by last year's Indy runner-up Paul Tracy. Tracy will dominate the Champ Car World Series in 2003, winning 7 races and locking up the championship at the second-to-last race back at Surfers Paradise. Hey, this stock price is getting pretty low. Remember, its initial valuation was at about $18, and it peaked in May of 1999 at just over $34. In late 2003, kart's stock price is hovering just above 50 cents. Could someone buy kart? Open Wheel Racing Series, an organization led by several kart team owners including Gerald Forsyth and Kevin Kalkoven, has purchased the series' assets. In the process of selling, kart will file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. But we've still got one race left to run, the King Taco 500 at California Speedway. Maybe kart can go out with a thriller, harkening back to its halcyon days.
Touches wheels with more. The two target teammates are first and second. And you saw Zanardi had to lift off a little bit when he went into one, held up more a little bit, gave that Jimmy that little break. That might be enough. Here comes more. Here comes more. Zanardi low, more up high. And this is helping Jimmy Vassar get away. Who's got No, Vassar's out in front by about 5 car lengths. They come off the turn now. Can he hold on? Can he hold on for $1 million?
This time, it was out of kart's control. Terrible wildfires in Southern California claimed the lives of 25 people, and the fire closest to the track became known as the Grand Prix Fire. At first, the race was merely postponed, but the series couldn't find an alternate location or date for the race. Perhaps it's fitting that the final kart race was never run due to logistical problems. So that's it. Kart is officially over. The new ownership is not bringing back the kart name, and the Champ Car World Series will limp along for 4 more seasons as teams and tracks gradually either move to the IndyCar Series or leave open-wheel racing entirely. But this isn't kart. It never claims to be. Tony George and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway have successfully killed the series and retaken control of American open-wheel racing. In 2008, IndyCar would merge with Champ Car, though a more accurate description might be IndyCar coming in and picking up the scraps. The story of the split finally came to an end, but not without one last logistical fuck-up. The Grand Prix of Long Beach coming over from Champ Car and the Indy Japan 300 at Twin Ring Motegi were scheduled for the same weekend, so the Champ Car teams and drivers broke out their old equipment for one last race. This, and everything else that went down as CART struggled and ultimately failed to stay alive, can be summed up best by a quote about the 2002 Surfers Paradise race from Christian Fittipaldi's race engineer Craig Hampson, a man who's still involved in IndyCar to this day. The whole thing was an artistic disaster.